Hi all, welcome to the video lecture series of object-oriented programming. In this video lecture, we'll be discussing about some of the constructors that we use to create string objects. There are several constructors that we can use to create string objects. We will see one by one. The first constructor is the constructor without any parameter. Since when we create this string object by calling this constructor, as you can see, there are no parameters here, so this object str will be an empty string object. That is, this constructor will be creating a new string object without any value in the heap area. The second constructor is which accepts a string literal. We know that string literals must be enclosed in a pair of double quotes. So when we create a string object by using this constructor, it will be creating a new object on the heap area with this string literal that we have mentioned as a parameter to the constructor. For example, when we write or when we create an object s2 like this, string s2 is equal to a new string of hello Java, a new string object named s2 will be created in the heap area and the value of that object will be hello Java. The difference between the first and second constructor is the presence of the string literal. In the case of first constructor, the parameter list was empty, but in the case of second constructor, there is a string literal as a parameter. The third constructor that we can use to create strings is we can specify the character array. We have seen this example in the previous video where we created one string object based on the character array we have defined. So here for this constructor we are passing only one parameter, but the parameter is of type array. It's an array of type character. Okay, so here when we create the object str will be created in the heap area, but the contents of this string will be made of the characters that are included inside this character array. For example, if we have a character array named cars, and if the characters inside the array are A, B, C and D, that is, here each of these characters is an element of the array. A is the first element of the array, B is the second element, C is the third element and D is the fourth element. Each of these characters is a unique element of the array. From these elements we can create a string object. For that we have to write string s3 is equal to new string and specify the name of the array. So when we write like this, a new string object named s3 will be created and the content of that string will be ABCD as a single string, not like A, B, C and D separate, but it will be combined together. All these characters will be combined together to form a single string. So this is the third way of creating a string object by specifying the character array as the parameter. The fourth way of creating a string, or the fourth way of constructor usage, is by using a constructor that accepts three parameters. As you can see in this constructor, there are three parameters. The first parameter is a character array, the second parameter is the starting index number, and third parameter is the count. We will see how this constructor is going to work. So when we use this constructor, it will be creating a string object in which the elements will be at the subrange of a character array. Subrange means we will not be including all the characters inside the array, but we will be clearly specifying which all characters we need to include in the string object. That is what the second and the third parameter is mentioned for inside this constructor. The second constructor is the start index. That means from which index inside the character array we have to start creating the string. Suppose I have a character array having a length of say 10 characters, and if I want to create only a string out of the 10 characters, I want to create a string only starting from the 5th character till the 6th or 7th character. In that case, if you have to mention the starting point from which we have to start creating the string, we have to use the second parameter, or the second parameter indicates the starting index number inside the character array, which is given as a first parameter. So here this is an array of characters. From this character array, from which index we have to start creating the string. That is what we mean by the second parameter, that is the start index. And the third parameter is the count. That is, starting from this index, how many characters we need to use to create the string. So starting from the fifth character, I have to use two characters. So index number 5 and index number 6. Those two characters will be included to create the string. We will see an example now. See, I have a character array named cars, and the characters are windows, and I am using this constructor for creating the string. The string object name is str, and I have passed three parameters. The first parameter is the character array, that is this array, and the second parameter is the index number from which I have to start. We know that inside the array the index number always starts from 0, so the second index number means 0, 1, 2. So n is the starting index from which I want to start the string, and how many characters I need to extract. So here the third parameter is the count. Count means how many characters I need to create, I need to get from the character array. So starting from the second index, I want to use 3 characters from the character array to create the string. So starting from second index means second index number is here, is pointing to n. So this is the first character, the second character, and the third character. So these 3 characters will be used to create the string named str. Okay, so second parameter is the index number from which we have to start creating the string, and the third parameter is the number of characters we need to use. So here starting from second index number, it is n, and the number of characters is 3. So starting from n, so count 1 is n, count 2 is d, and count 3 is o. So 3 characters means n, d, o. So these 3 characters will be used to create the string named str. So that is what I mentioned just now. So NDO will be stored inside the heap area by using the, and the object name will be str, because the starting index number is 2, and at index number 2 the character is n, and I have to use 3 characters. So starting from n is one character, and d is another second character, and o is the third character. So NDO, 3 characters will be copied or will be used to create the string. So that is how this we will see an example of the same constructor. As you can see in this program, we have used the same character array consisting of the same characters. We are creating a new string object named s is equal to new string, and we have specified the character array and the index number. I have mentioned the starting index number as 0, and I have mentioned the number of characters, the count, as 4. So starting from the index number 0, which is w, I have to use 4 characters. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So these 4 characters will be used to create the new string named s. So when we print the value of s, we will get the output as wind. So why we are getting wind? Because we have mentioned the starting index number as 0, which points to w inside the array, and we have mentioned the count as 4. So from 0 we have to use 4 characters. So w, I, n, and d, these 4 characters will be used to create the new string. The fifth constructor that we can use to create a string is by means of the string constructor that accepts a byte array as the parameter. As you can see here, this constructor named string has got only one parameter, and that is an array of type bytes. So now we will see how this constructor can be used to create a string. So here this constructor creates a string out of the characters whose byte values are mentioned as the array elements. So we know that for all the keys on the keyboard there exists a ASCII value. So instead of giving the characters as character itself, we will be mentioning their ASCII values in the form of an array. So when we give a byte array as the input to the constructor, the string constructor will convert each value inside this array to the corresponding character. We will see an example, then it will be more clear to you. In this example, we have created one byte array. The name of the array is b, and we have included the values as 97, 98, 99, 100. We know that all these values are belonging to the ASCII values of some of the characters on the keyboard. Okay. So when we use this byte array as the input to the string constructor, so you can see here string is equal to new string of b, where b is the byte array. So this is not the array of characters, but this is the array of numbers, that is bytes. So B is an array of bytes. So when we use this constructor, okay, the string constructor will find out the character corresponding to each of these ASCII values. So when we print the value of the string s after creating a string like this, we will get the output as A, B, C, D, because 97 is the ASCII value of A, 98 is the ASCII value of small letter B, 99 is the ASCII value of small letter C, and 100 is the ASCII value of small letter D. So when we use this byte array, we'll be getting a new string. So here the byte values of 97, 98, 99, 100 all are converted into their corresponding ASCII value characters. So this is the fifth constructor that can be used. Now the sixth constructor that can be used to create a string is somewhat similar to the constructor that we have seen before. That is the constructor that uses three parameters, in which the first parameter is a character array, second is the starting index number, and third parameter is the count. In the sixth constructor, the first parameter will be a byte array instead of the character array, and the remaining two parameters remain the same, or their meaning remains the same. So in this case, we'll be creating a new string from the byte array that is given as the first parameter, but all the bytes inside that byte array will not be converted into a character. Instead of that, only the bytes from the starting index number, which is given as the second parameter, will be included, and the number of bytes we have to consider from the array is mentioned as the count variable. Okay, we will see an example now. In this example, we have created a byte array, and name of the byte array is B, and there are these many characters, so these many bytes inside the array. But we are going to create a new string from this byte array, but we don't want all the bytes in this byte array to be converted into a string. So we will be specifying the index number from which we have to begin creating the string, and we will be indicating the number of bytes we have to consider. So when we use this constructor here, the first parameter B is a byte array, the second parameter is the index number from which we are going to start. So here 2 means the index number inside the array. 2 means a third element, the index number 0, index number 1, index number 2. So you have to start from here, 67. And 4 means the number of bytes we have to consider. So starting from the index number 2, 4 bytes or 4 elements from the array. So first element, second element, third, and 4. So these are the 4 elements that we have to use to create a string from this byte array. So this S will be created as a string by using the characters, by using the bytes starting from the second index, and from that index 4 values will be taken. So all these 4 values will be taken to create the new string named S. Again, this is a byte array, so each of these values will be corresponding to a character on the keyboard. So when we print the value of this string S, we will get the output as C, D, E, F, because 67 is the ASCII value of capital C, 68 is the ASCII value of capital D, 69 is the ASCII value of capital E, and 70 is the ASCII value of capital. Now there is a method named length that is used to find out the length of the string. Length of the string means it will be counting the number of characters inside the string. So all the spaces, dot, exclamation marks, everything inside the double quotes will be considered as a character. So this method returns the count of characters, the total number of characters inside a string. We will see an example right now. So in this example, we are creating two strings, namely str1 and str2. And str1 is welcome to tutorials.com, and second string is tutorials. So when we find out the length of str1, it will count all the characters including this space and this dot. So when we run this program, the output we will be getting is 29.9. So here when 29 means all the characters including the space also will be counted, and for tutorials the number of characters is 9. As you can count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So that is why we get the output as 9. That is str2.length, that is 9. We shall conclude now. In this video lecture, we have seen different ways of creating strings. There are 6 different constructors that we can use to create string objects. And also we came across the method that we use to count the number of characters inside a string, and that method is length, and the method is inside the class string. That is all in this video lecture. Thank you so much.